You're listening to Ideas and Leaders podcast. I'm Elena Paweta, Executive Communication Coach and TEDx organizer. With each episode, I'll share with you communication tips and ideas from top business leaders to help you excel in your career. Welcome to the next episode of Ideas and Leaders podcast. Today I'm speaking with Litt. She's an owner and lead social media manager at Little Shameless Plug. She's helping creative entrepreneurs to build an online presence. And today we're going to speak about how to build this online presence. This is something that we're all thinking about. Hi, Lauren. It's great to have you on Ideas and Leaders.
Hi, Elena. I am, as you know, very excited to be here. So thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm so happy to have you here also because I'm really looking forward to asking you a couple of questions about my social media as well. But,
Good.
But first of all, I know that you're working with entrepreneurs and you've seen a lot of social media profiles and helped to build social media profiles. So what are, in your opinion, the typical social media mistakes that we are often doing?
Oh, what a good thing. I just think that we should start with the fact that everybody assumes you need to be doing so much more than you need to. Like people build up this idea of a social media presence in their mind, right? They're like, well, I have to have 10,000 followers in order to really make traction for my business. That's something I hear a lot from entrepreneurs and small business owners, or, I can't, I have to post every day and I just don't know how I have time for that. And the reality is this myth we've all bought into about how often you need to be on social media and how much you need to be posting on social media keeps people from doing what they need to do, which is like post once a week, give something of value, communicate with others, like treat people like actual people on this platform, and you will really gain traction. So I think that's the biggest mistake I see on social media.
Yeah, so we actually don't need to be so much on social media, but this is not what we hear, because what we see very often are those social media profiles of, famous people and celebrities, and they're posting all the time. They have their stories all the time, lives all the time, and we think that we need to keep up with them. So. But
exactly.
Does it work or?
So here's the deal. We need to look at that advice through the filter, right? If you're looking at those people who are posting all the time and they're doing lives and they're doing all this stuff, they're probably an influencer. They're probably making money from that social media account. Now, the question is, do you want to be an influencer or do you want to run your business and use this tool, this lovely free tool, to reach potential customers? They're two different strategies, right? And so when we hear, you've got to post twice a day, every day, or you've got to, do 5 reels a day on Instagram. I hear that a lot, that like, the only thing that's working is reels and you got to be working it and make sure you're using your trending audio. All of that is coming from people who are either A, like I said, an influencer, their literal job is to do social media, or B, a social media manager, right? Whose literal job is to do social media. Now, I have a team of 9 people. We all spend a good 40 hours a week working for our clients. Now, I don't know about you, but most entrepreneurs don't have 40 hours a week plus to spend on their social media accounts. So it's not that you have to have this incredible level of input going in. It's how can we marry the quality of your content with the correct message to the person you want to be speaking to? And then just do that consistently. That's really the basics of what an entrepreneur needs to do.
That is so nice to hear, that we don't need to put in so much effort, because there are so many platforms: LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, yes. TikTok, and so on and so on. And we have new platforms coming up. So do we really need to have them all? And so we agreed that we don't need to post several times a day. That's a great relief.
Yes.
But do we need to be everywhere on all platforms? Or how do you see it?
So here's when I work with people, I consult as well as having the full service. And what I love to see is at least having your platform filled out on every social media platform because, or your profile filled out on the platform, because that just gives you that little extra dose of SEO. Because really what social media is its core is it's building into your search engine optimization. Every time you're posting, that's bringing more value to your presence online. That's showing up when people are searching your name, Elena, right? So if you have a Facebook profile and your LinkedIn profile and your Instagram profile and your YouTube page and all of these things, all that's doing is when someone puts in your name, those pieces will show up. And at this point in our careers and in our lives in 2023, that's when we're recording this podcast, those profiles kind of mean you're in business, right? It's kind of like the yellow pages used to be. Like, are you
Yeah.
there or not? Now, this doesn't mean that you have to keep every single one of those profiles up and active and engaged because it's not possible. And you're also going to find that there's a sweet spot for you. You know, you, Elena, as a human, are going to be really drawn to a certain platform because maybe you're great on video, or maybe you love to write, or maybe you really just like to connect and engage with people and you don't really want to put the content out. There's a platform that will speak to whatever your specific skill set is. And so we want to really focus in on that one. And then here's the hot tip. All those other platforms. So let's say, Elena, you're going to focus on Instagram and we're going to ignore everything else. On LinkedIn, you're going to put up a post, you're going to pin it to the top and or in your bio, and you're going to say, I'm not on LinkedIn very much. If you'd like to connect with me, here's the link to my Instagram profile. That's it. So when people show up and you haven't posted in a while, they're not like, oh, is she in business anymore? They're like, oh, she's on Instagram. Cool. I'm going to go follow her over there, you know, or, oh, I hate Instagram, in which case they're not your people and we're not going to worry about them. Right. So having each of your profiles filled out is helpful, but you don't have to keep each one of them active.
Yeah, that's a great tip. And it gets so much out of our heads. We don't have to think about, oh, I didn't post on LinkedIn for a week. I need to do something really fast, or oh, I need to post here and there. I think that this is too overwhelming, and this is the reason that why I think that many people, they are kind of resistant to social media, because I'm a communication coach, so I work with people on their communication skills and speaking skills, and very often I tell them that speak up also on your social media, because this is a great platform on podcasts, on YouTube, because people want to hear your voice, and they're like, oh no, social media is not for me. I'm not there. I don't have profiles, or I have Facebook profile, but I didn't use it in like 5
Or
years.
I'll hear from people like, well, I'm just not cool enough like to be on social media. You're like, what is cool? Like, what does that mean?
Yes,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
so many resistance points. So do you can you maybe persuade our listeners who are thinking that they're not cool enough, or that social media is not for them, or something else, that actually they have to use those platforms?
Yeah, you know, the thing is I am really sensitive and aware. I specialize in working with people who have that resistance to coming online, whether it's because you feel like you're too old, or like me, you had a really scary experience that happened to you online. The online can be an interesting and scary place. But we can set up boundaries for ourselves. We can take care of ourselves and make sure that we're really clear on, you know, educate ourselves about those platforms and how we want to show up so that we don't have kind of this void we're jumping into. So I really coach people a lot on working through that resistance, because all of those things you said, there's a reason behind it. And the reason behind it is probably you're scared. And that's okay. You know, they've shown in studies like people who are neurodivergent are especially affected by coming on and off of a platform, because when you're on these platforms, you're getting those hits of dopamine. And when you come off, you're crashing. And so we're like, we don't know why. We just like, I just can't be on that platform because I feel horrible when I get off of it. And so if we educate ourselves about that and do steps to ground ourselves beforehand, really get ourselves in our body. And then afterwards, you know, go take a walk, dance in your office, make a cup of tea, get back in your body. That will help you in using this experience. And while everything I just said makes social media sound terrible and like you should never be on it, it is such an incredible free tool for getting your message out into the world, and it's, as you said, for communication. What brings us closer to people all over the planet than being able to control our own marketing in this way that immediately can connect us with our perfect clients anywhere? So that's a really special gift, and it's powerful. So we got to be Spider-Man, right? Great power, great responsibility, like together.
Yes, yes, absolutely. This it sounds like a Spider-Man, and I really like that you mentioned this dopamine, because I think that many people are scared of getting too much attached to those platforms, or maybe they were at some point to spending too much time there, and they decided that just to give up, and that they don't want to spend too much time. Is there a tool or a tip to how to not to spend too much time there? Because social media, they're designed to keep us there. I'm entering my Instagram profile just to check a couple of messages, and then half an hour later I'm like, what was I doing?
What happened? Like you resurface. It's as this is my job, it's something that is really, really difficult. So the first thing is, I want you to set an intention before you open the profile. Why? Because I'll have a lot of people say, like, I don't know, my thumb just hovers over the Instagram profile. Like, it just wants to open it. I don't know why it's open now. I'm just now looking at the feed. So before you do that, and I had a friend share with me, she actually moved where she keeps that, her social profiles on her phone, and she put like the notes there instead. And so every time she opened a note, she was like, why is the note open? Oh my God, I was subconsciously trying to open my social media profiles. So have an intention. Don't just open it and then be in the scroll. Be like, I want to connect, or I'm going to check my messages. I actually have a 3-step process, because when I was a little baby social media manager, like 10 years ago, I was like, I don't know how to keep up. I can't do this for my clients. I'm all day long scrolling feeds. And I realized that if I put this 3-step process in place, I was able to make the most impact and engagement for my clients. And I am going to share that now. And also, there's a free training I have that I call your daily fit, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, that walks you through how to do this. If you all want to get that, I'll make sure that's available. So the first step is, when you jump into social media, if you want to base on engagement, you're going to review. You're going to take a look at your profile, because it may have been, I don't know, a month or a week since you've been in here last. It may have been a day, but you just take a look and be like, where in the story of me are we? Right? What have other people experienced as I'm jumping into my profile? And if you're working with a lot of entrepreneurs have VAs that help them with social media, this also helps, because then you're able to see like, oh, my VA, Alicia just answered 3 comments. And if I were just jumping into the back end, I might not see that she had answered them. And then I would double answer them. And then that would be confusing to people, right? So let's get a picture, just a quick snapshot of where you are in the story of you online. Then you want to respond. So anyone who has liked your content, feel free to reach out or tag them and say, thank you so much. On LinkedIn, we can see the people that have liked our content, and we can tag them if we want to go deeper with them in a piece of content that we've shared. Or we can just say, thank you. Sometimes it feels like I'm yelling into the void. I really appreciate you responding to this, so whatever feels right to you. But you want to respond to all the likes. You want to respond to every comment that people have done. And you can also respond. I love responding, like on Instagram specifically, with voice messages to people who've recently followed me. I kind of take a tool down who they are, and I say, thank you so much. Like, let's get to know each other. And so it feels really personal, because we don't need 10,000 clients. Like, I don't know about you, but if I had 10,000 clients tomorrow, I wouldn't know what to do. That would be too many clients. I need 4 new clients over this year, right? I'm looking for those 4 perfect people to bring into my business as we grow. And so having those unique personal relationships, treating those people as people, is going to help you. So that's number 2, respond. And then we're going to step out to number 3, which is reach out. Because social media, the way it works, if we're just speaking to the people in our bubble, we're never really going to grow. And so you want to then reach out, use a hashtag, which can work on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, search a topic that you're interested in and make sure that topic is viewed through your clients' words, not through how like we would internally talk about people, right? So like internally, I'm thinking like, oh, social media manager. No entrepreneur is like, I'm going to search social media manager today to like get some tips, right? No, they're thinking posting on social or how to grow on social, so like use terms that your client would use and then see who's posting under that. Interact with them. Don't necessarily jump in and follow them right away. Like, if you meet someone out, you're not going to immediately be like, hey, can I come over to your house? That would be weird. But like, like maybe comment on a post they've had, follow up with them, the next week, have a short list of like 10 to 30 people that you're just kind of seeing if you're a match. And if you are, then take that next step, follow them and bring them into your circle. So review, respond, reach out. That's the 3 steps of your daily fit practice.
Okay, so respond, reach out, and review. The first one, review, respond, and reach out.
Yes.
I really like it. And I heard a couple of times about getting engaged with people and answering their messages, writing to them. But I think that it takes so much time.
It does.
How to manage this time, not to, get sucked into the Instagram or LinkedIn and for a couple of hours.
Oh, yeah.
For half of the day, because we can spend there searching for these hashtags almost a whole day.
I want you to set a timer for yourself. So depending on where you're at in your business, you may have 5 minutes to spend on your marketing, or you may have 4 hours. You know yourself best. I put together my series of videos and this plan because I want you to, honestly, if you can set a timer for 5 minutes and just work for 5 minutes and then be out, you will see engagement on your platform grow if you do that on your work week, Monday through Friday, right? So that's 25 minutes total. Some people are like, I don't like spending 5 minutes a day. I want to spend 30 minutes twice a week. Great. Spend 30 minutes twice a week. Social media algorithms have moved away from you have to immediately respond. Does it help? Absolutely. But if you post on Tuesday and you respond Thursday, you're still getting that response in, right? Because we're not necessarily so concerned about being that influencer marketer person, right? We want to build real relationships. And so setting a timer, having that clear idea of why you're on that platform, and then really allow your timer to justify the time you've spent and then move on with your life. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like you can go down a deep rabbit hole. Like if you search how to post frequently on Instagram, let's say, I don't know what I'm searching, but like say I search that and then I'm down this deep rabbit hole and I haven't done a timer. Like we said, these platforms are built to keep you on there. They have very brilliant people working around the clock, trying to figure out how to keep our eyes on that feed all the time. And so, yeah, an hour can pass and you won't even know it. And sometimes that's fun. Sometimes you just want to like scroll for fun. I totally do that. But a lot of times if we're trying to do business, we got 5 minutes, we got 15 minutes, so set that timer, do the thing. When the timer goes off, just leave. Know that you've done enough for the day, for the moment.
Yeah, so it is great to go to social media actually with intention to do something, for example, to interact with others or to make a post and leave.
Yes.
This is also very important, not just to make a post and then, observe all the likes and right. The reactions, and because this takes time. And also, I wanted to share my own experience with social media because I don't know, I think that our listeners might relate as well, that I'm trying to give some structure to this madness.
Yes.
And okay, I will post about those topics, or I will post on those days, or I come up with the business content that I want to post. But then at some point, when I have big project or I have a lot of tasks, I just either forget about it, or I just stop posting business content because I don't have time to plan everything and to come up with everything.
Exactly.
And then, is there a way? What do you suggest to your clients how to actually make your social media platforms look consistent on the long term, not just for a month or two?
Yes. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. I was just speaking yesterday to someone. We're calling this the sprinter. You're like, I'm committing to social media. I'm committing to my marketing. I'm going to make this happen. And 60 days later, like life happened. And now you're moving off in another direction and you lose all the momentum you gained, right? So it's like, it's so frustrating to have that happen. So you've probably heard a lot of people talk about batching content, which sounds like making batter. I don't know, but it really is the best way for a long-term strategy. And I love to pair that with what is the minimum that we are going to build for you specifically, Elena. And that is different for everyone. Some people are like, once a month is all I can handle. That is literally all I can do. Great. We're going to build a once a month rhythm on your social media. We can plan a whole year's of content in a half a day, right? Great. We're going to be done. And then we're going to schedule it using what's called a third-party scheduling tool. Some of the platforms have their own scheduling tools, which I highly recommend using because they would be free because they're built in. But there's also some other really great scheduling tools that are still free at the basic levels. So tools like Later posts to a lot of things. I believe that's free for up to 30 posts a month. Again, this is March of 2023. All of this stuff could be changed tomorrow. I really love a tool called Hey Orca, which is there's a payment involved in that, but it is a great tool. I highly recommend that one. It can post to almost every platform as well. Facebook Meta has its own tool, which can post to Facebook and Instagram. So get that scheduler on. You or your assistant pull that content you've created and schedule it out. That way, when you get busy, at least that basic rhythm is maintained for you, because each of the platforms has, as we know, the algorithm. We all hear this. And really what the algorithm is doing is making sure people are getting the content that they want to see. And so it looks out over all the people that are out there on the platform and goes, oh, Elena is posting once a week about communication. Great. Everybody who's looking for communication, we can throw Elena in, right? They're like a hostess, right? She's like, oh, I can put Elena over here and she can talk to those people about communication. It's going to be great. And then let's say you stop posting for 3 weeks and they're gonna be like, oh God, Elena isn't going to come to my party anymore. Well, I got to find someone else to talk about communication, So whatever that consistent rhythm that you can do and that we can pre-create and schedule out so that whenever they're ready to reach for their Elena guest, you're there to deliver that content. And that way your it ripples out, right? The people who are seeing your content are just going to grow and grow and grow instead of grow and then flatline and then drop off the face of the planet. And then you've got to climb back up the hill. So that's kind of how I like looking at those things. Does that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So we need to plan at least this minimum. Maybe it is once a month or once in 2 weeks or once a week, because this is what I did in my experience when I did some launches. I was launching online courses or I was selling some products. I would post like 3 times a week and I would be on all platforms and I would be super active everywhere. But then after the sales, I would stop posting. I would relax, and
you're like, I'm exhausted. Yeah.
yes. And I did not have those those weekly posts or monthly posts that would stay there. So I think this is the big mistake. And also, I wanted to ask you about the plan, the marketing plan. So when we are planning those regular posts, what do you have any strategy for this? What should we look at, and how do you usually approach this topic?
Oh, this is my very favorite thing to do because I just love meeting people and finding that like inner genius, right? Because when you start talking to someone about the thing they love to do, there is all of a sudden this light bulb that goes off where they are like, oh, and then I do this. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's such brilliant content. Let's have that be your Tuesday post for the next 3 weeks, right? So, what you want to do, if you don't have me in your pocket, but what you really want to do is go ahead and look at, I like to call them your big rocks first. And the big rocks, well, let me step back real quick. I think we've all heard the story of the professor who told, his class, like, I'm going to teach you the meaning of life. And he brings this big glass vase up and he says, he puts rocks in. Is it full? And they all say, yeah, it's full. And then he pours in some big baby rocks and that fills in the gaps. He says, now is this full? And they say, yeah, that looks full. Then he pours in sand. And at the end, he opens up a beer, pours that in and says, now it's full, right? Because the bubbles, the fun part has filled everything in. So I like to look at creating your marketing plan just that way. We're going to start with your big rocks. When in 2023 are you going to launch? Or are you going to have a sale? If you're a brick and mortar, you're probably selling hard towards the later end of the year. So we're going to put those things in first. Then we're going to look at what are the things that your audience needs to know, like, and trust about you in order for that sale to work, right? And I call those your pillars. So we get really clear on what those messages might need to be. So again, for a brick and mortar, I always love to share my lovely client, Bob, who sells olive oil and vinegar. His clientele, we call her the lady about town. And she is a lovely older woman in her 60s who just wants to drink wine and eat good food. And so all year long, we share recipes and happy, wine Wednesday. And we share different little unique boutique restaurants in his area. And when we ask for the sale, we get it because they are so full of their community, knowing all of these wonderful things are coming from him, that as soon as he's like, I've got the newest olive oil from Spain, they're like, I need 3. So you want that, know, like, and trust factor. And then I like to say the bubbles. What are the fun things that are so unique to you that might not even have anything to do with your business? So like in my case, one of my bubbles is I'm an actress, like people are like, what have you been in? That's really fun. They like to see that journey in the background. I love to cook, so I share the different recipes I do. These are things that are very unique. I also cook my dog food, by the way. I'm just going to come out there as that crazy dog mom who cooks the food for her dog. But these are things that make people see me as a person and feel like they can connect with me. That's the bubbles. And so when you've got your rocks, those little rocks and the bubbles all together, that really helps you see, okay, I'm hitting my sales message. I'm getting that know, like, and trust factor, and I'm letting people see a little bit of who I am so that they can really be ready to connect with me when the time comes.
Yeah. So then we can have much more ideas. We have those big launches or big topics in place, and then we can think of what to do before and after this. And what about the tools? Because you mentioned Reels before. From what I heard, that you should do video now all the time, that video on LinkedIn, Reels on Instagram. So what do you think about it? Is it necessary?
So what do we got to do? Yeah. Oh my gosh. So I like to say that I view every social media platform as a game, and we don't want to play Monopoly with the rules of chutes and ladders, right? So you have to be really clear about the rules of your platform when you're talking about this stuff. Is video helpful? Absolutely. It is super, super helpful. It's going to help in the reach for the most part. Most of the platforms are really prioritizing video in their feeds. Now, there's a huge caveat to that, which is video helpful to you, to your audience? I have a client who is coming off of like multiple little baby launches. She did a summit. She did all of these things. And engagement was just like trickling down and down and down because people were like, okay, we got it. We got it. Right. And so we're like, okay, we need to post just a photo. We got to get just a photo of her up and out into the world. And so we did 2 photos in a carousel on her Instagram profile, and that immediately doubled the engagement on her page. There's no video to it. There's no music behind it. It is just a photo. But we knew that seeing her face with one of her core messages attached was going to re-engage those people who were like, no, I'm not interested in the summit. No, I'm not interested in that like sales thing. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be aware of which levers to pull and how your specific audience looks. I am a huge proponent of looking at your own analytics, like actually know what works for your platform. It's fascinating to me, but it also gives such relief to people. You know, I literally once was in a session where they were like, oh my God, our LinkedIn page is awful. No one is on the, like, it is bad. And I was like, okay, well, let's look. And we open up their page and we look at the back end, and I'm seeing this huge reach on certain posts. You know, we're seeing their polls getting super engagement. And I was like, let's remove our story that your LinkedIn is bad because you didn't have a profile 3 months ago. And now look at all of the engagement that we have. Are you going to have 2,000 likes on your photo tomorrow if you only have 600 followers on your profile? No, but we can get there if you build it over time. So.
Yeah, from my experience, when I checked my analytics a couple of times, I think that the posts that got the most reactions were the family posts. I was so surprised. I was like, because I'm not sharing too much about my private life, my personal life, my family. Sometimes I would post my kids once in several months.
Yeah.
And those posts were like skyrocketing. I was like, oh, wow, I'm posting something about business, about my interesting programs. And I don't get much, just average results. Then family, this is something that people like. So apparently we need to mix also this private content with the business content.
Yeah, your bubbles.
Do you have any tips on this for your clients?
I like to say that, like, if we're looking at it in a numbers game, remember I talk about your rocks, like your medium rocks, and then your bubbles. So 30, 30, 30, about 30% of your content should be that stuff that's really sales driven directly to your business. 30% of the content should be your messaging, things that are happening. 30% should really be those bubbles, those like you need to be showing up in that content how you authentically are. Because although a lot of us work long hours and days, we're not only our jobs, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about having more women that I get to work with, and more women being, coming up and really kind of changing. I'm experiencing a big change in corporate shift, that we can allow ourselves to be human, and everybody loves that, like it's just a really nice thing. So if you're looking at your content and you're like, oh man, I haven't posted about my making dog food for my dogs in a while, maybe I'll do that again, so like just kind of keep that in mind as you're rotating through your content.
Mm-hmm. And also I wanted to ask you about Facebook. Do you think that Facebook page is still important for business owners? I hear a lot that no one uses Facebook anymore.
I know Facebook is so fascinating because like 2 years ago, I think I actually said, Facebook's dying. Don't even worry about it. Like, we're just going to put up that post. Hey, we're not really here very often and we're moving away. Starting about, I don't know, November of 2022, most of my clients, we have like a once a month post that goes through to their Facebook page just to keep it active. We look at what was the best post that happened on, say, their LinkedIn, and then we just duplicate that and change it and put that up for Facebook. So like just once a month, we're just feeding that thing. And all of a sudden, with almost little to no work, those pages starting to get followers again, and they started to get engagement. And we were like, what is happening? Nothing that we're doing has changed, but Facebook has changed. So I think Facebook, in a little pitch of desperation, since everybody says, I hate Facebook now, has really changed and tried to pull people more into the algorithm and getting more engagement on actual Facebook pages. Whether or not Facebook is the space you should be is up to you. I still am unsure where they will be in the future, but I think think of your Facebook page, like your business page, almost like a mini website. Like if I wanted someone to know about my quiz, or if I want someone to know how to buy something from my shop, that thing is going to be pinned to the top. And I'm just going to post the most important information each quarter to this page and make sure that it's very clear where you can find me. Like my link to my website is up to date, or my link to my Instagram is up to date, or whatever it is. But kind of treat it like a website, because the search engine optimization of Facebook is huge. That will show up if someone searches for you. So those are my 2 cents about Facebook.
Yes. I think that now I'm convinced, and our listeners are convinced, that we actually need to be everywhere, but not super active everywhere. So we need to have those profiles done, and you don't have to post.
Yeah, and we don't have to do it overnight. If you're like, okay, cool, I would like to have that happen once a month or once every other month, tackle one of these. None of this is something that you can flip a switch and we're going to be done with. This is literally over time, as all good things are. So
yeah. Great, Lauren. Thank you so much for all of your tips. So if you were to sum up the main messages to our listeners, what can they do to actually have a strong online presence? What would those tips be?
I would say, don't forget engagement. It's one of the most powerful tools that you have, by you actually engaging with other people on your profile. And remember that this is a marathon, not a sprint. Don't commit to anything within the next 30 days that you can't keep up for a year. 2 big tips.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much, Lauren. If our listeners want to know more about you, to learn more about you, maybe to work with you, where can they find you?
Thank you. Instagram is my favorite platform. So you can find me on Instagram at lauren.litt. That's Litt. And I've got, like I said, that great daily fit engagement video series, which you can download right now. It's available via the link in my profile. It's called The Daily Fit, and it walks you through Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, that 5-minute a day habit that you can build. So there's that. And I'm also coming up with a quiz, which will be available in late April, which helps you figure out what is that next action I need to take on my favorite profile. So stay tuned for that one. I'm excited about it.
Perfect. Thank you for those resources. We will share everything under our episode so that our listeners can immediately jump there and download all of those resources. Thank you. Thank you so much, Lauren. Thank you for being on Ideas and Leaders and for sharing all of this valuable information with us.
Thank you. It's truly an honor, and I'll see you online.
Thank you for listening to Ideas and Leaders podcast. Did you enjoy this episode? Let me know that you listened by tagging me in your LinkedIn profile and using a hashtag Ideas and Leaders. See you in the next episode.